You have spent a lot of your time and resources digging for information on financial literacy. You have gathered so much information, and yet you are not seeing any changes in your journey to financial freedom. You appear to be trapped in a poverty trap. You don't see much changing positively to improve your status. The reason why nothing is changing despite you acquiring so much of financial literacy information is because financial success is not about what you know. It's not about what you have learned. It is all about over 80% of the success, what influences your financial success is your actions, what you do with money, or your behavior towards money. Attitude is part of it, your mindset is part of it. It's 20% of what you know, but 80% of what you do with the money. There are many mistakes. If we list, we'll come up with a list of over 12 major mistakes that we commit with money. And those mistakes that we commit is what ties us into the poverty trap. I've collapsed them into 5 simple key mistakes that you need to avoid if you haven't committed them so far, or you need to correct them in order for your financial success to get a positive trajectory. You have done so much. With all the information that you have generated what you were able to make, but you haven't taken a trajectory that brings growth into your wealth, brings growth into your investments. We'll be looking at those 5 simple mistakes that we need to avoid or we need to correct after 3 seconds short break. In the meantime, don't forget to like the video if it has value and share it to another person. And as always, we are engaging in the comment section, so don't be left out. Tell us maybe that one mistake that you have overly committed and you would wish to change come the new investing period and see a positive trajectory in investments. See you after 3 seconds short break. So welcome back, and these are the 5 key mistakes that if you haven't committed them so far and you want to succeed financially, you need to avoid committing the mistakes. And if you have been committing these mistakes, if you have not applied the following 5 steps, then you need to make them part of your financial investment journey and you will see the success. Try applying this one for the next 12 months and keep note of the changes that you will experience in your financial growth. The first one, the most common mistake by majority of us is spending your money without a budget and an expense tracker. Budgeting or budgets have overly been talked about to a point that many people take them as overrated tools. But a budget is one of the most important financial tools that every individual must have. An expense tracker on the side assists the actualization of the figures that you have in your budget. Every business, every company has budgets. Our country has a budget, and you cannot fail to have a budget as an individual. One key importance of a budget is that a budget establishes your financial stability. And financial stability is the most important stage in your financial freedom journey. You establish your financial stability by ensuring that your incomes are sufficient to cover all your expenses, or rather, you are living within your means. And above that, is saving and investing at that point becomes one of your key expenditure items. And therefore, as a characteristic, we say that you'll be financially stable when all your bills are taken care of, your savings and investments are funded, and you do not have debts, and especially the consumer debts. So, a budget, when you are crafting a budget, the very important thing that you'll identify first is whether there are any income gaps. And income gaps can be pointed out by if you are consuming bad debts, consumer debts. If there is any debt that will be spotted in your creation of a budget, then that means that you have financial gaps. Those are income gaps. On the other end, we'll be able to establish your expenditure excesses, things that you're consuming your incomes that are not very important. Many things that you can do without. And therefore, by preparing a budget, you will eliminate these expenditure excesses, which at the end of the day may closing the gap, the financial, the income gaps that will be identified. And by so doing, a budget will quickly give you a financial stability. And if that is not and if that is not possible, by the fact that all the expenses that you will have indicated are important enough and there are income gaps, then you will devise a way of closing that gap by generating an extra income. Because living without a budget, most cases you'll find yourself either spending more than you need to have spent, even if you are saving and investing, because maybe your incomes cover your expenditures, but you are not maximized. If you bring in a budget as a financial tool to control your expenditures, you are going to leave so much and spend, and that one will be directed towards your investing and savings. And by maximizing that one item, the saving and investment, that is what will quickly grow your wealth. That is what will quickly assemble different assets through diversification to grow your wealth. The second important mistake that we are committing, even those who are properly investing, is investing without an emergency fund. Read it as emergency plan. That one I'll combine with postponing creation of your retirement plan. You are enjoying life, you are living life without thinking about your retirement. There is a principle of retire early, retire rich. That is for a person who has taken deliberate steps, as a budget, has created portfolios, and this person is in a trajectory or fulfilling decisions that they have made. But investing without an emergency plan, investing by postponing creation or enjoying life without a creation of your pension plan, which means you are devoid of investing, then there come a time when now you get awakened and you want to start those investments and you fail to do your catch-up investing or catch-up savings. Because as we had looked at another previous video about your expected net worth, your net worth is the assets that belong to you, assets that are generating that incomes fulfill your needs, not assets that are generating incomes that go towards settling liabilities. That is what we deducted to get your net assets. There is an expected net worth at every stage of your growth. At every point, you are supposed to be able to calculate a net worth, then match that net worth calculated with what you actually have. And the most important thing that you must have in all that arrangement, there should be an emergency plan, because an emergency plan is the tool that the risks is the one that shields your long-term investments against risks or destruction. If you are investing and you have not assembled an emergency fund, you have already committed a huge risk against your long-term investments. You need an emergency plan which is supposed to take care of events that you cannot plan for because you don't know about them. But in the event they happen, your long term investments will not be affected because if you were to liquidate a long term investment, a long term asset, it to realize resources to take care of an emergency, that need will expose that investment to a point where you will have to suffer losses in its realization, or you will have to destroy that investment intended to take care of these emergency needs. And in the smaller cases, where is the dignity of you as an investor? Most of the small borrowings that we make around, they erode your dignity. There is that respect as an individual that you must have, that you need to have. Borrowing left, right, and center erodes your dignity. There is a level of respect that you lose in such an event. So, dignity and your other assets, because you are an asset as a person, they will require protection. That control comes from having an emergency plan. The third important mistake that is committed by many people is surviving or living on bad debts. Bad debts are consumer debts, debts or borrowings that you make to finance your lifestyle, debts that you put yourself into to bridge gaps in your budgets or in what's supposed to be budgeted for. Those bad debts, they are the ones that characterized a financially unstable person. Regardless of how much you are earning, so long as they are bad debts, that is the key indicator of a financially unstable person. And that's why in number one, elimination of that element or point indicator of instability is formulating a budget that puts all your expenses within your means, your incomes. And by so doing, you eliminate these bad debts. Because for you to be financially stable, you are going to have all your bills settled. You have your savings and invested funded because you have created those savings and investment votes as part of your expenditure. Then you will have free of bad debts. Debts are good, but only good debts are those that build assets. Debts that you take for consumption, those are bad debts. But if you are taking a debt to create an asset that is generating incomes enough to pay off that debt and maybe leave a zero towards your income or cash flow basket, that's a good debt because once this debt is cleared, the asset will start now putting cash flows or money in your cash flow basket. The fourth mistake is over relying on a single income. That is the same as saying overly investing on a single asset. You're supposed to diversify, invest in different assets that at the end of the day average up your cash flows. Don't put all your money into one investment. At every given level, build at least two assets. As you build your emergency fund as an asset, start creating a small pool of a different assets. You also have your main source of income from which you are generating cash flows for those investments. But don't overly rely on one income. Don't overly invest in one asset. That is too risky. Regardless of how much cash flows you are generating from that single asset, it is so risky because there is nothing that is so big that it cannot fail. So you get overly exposed in terms of your cash flows when you are dependent on a single income, on a single cash flow from a single asset. The fifth mistake that we must check is show off. Doing things just for purposes of showing off. You are living your life for other people. You buy things that you don't absolutely need, but you're doing it so that people can see. Yet these people did not ask you for such a show. You end up spending all your money because you are living a life, a fake life, a life that shows only up. And we say that wealth is silent. Real wealth does not shout. Wealth is silence. Keeping a low profile on your resources. Keeping a low profile when it comes to your wealth and its consumption helps you in building your wealth. This comes again with another risk or another mistake that we do of replacing things that you don't need because you feel they need to be seen by other people. And that does not leave out chasing quick fixes or chasing quick wins because of funding of such a lifestyle that is due to societal pressure, social media pressure, and peer pressure. For you to be able to generate and build sufficient wealth or good wealth, you need to incorporate the principle that your wealth needs to be silent. Your wealth needs to be quiet. You don't become rich by showing off. You better lead a true life as you build your wealth, then enjoy your wealth. Thank you for watching.